Okay, so I wanted to talk about the question of the efficacy of vision therapy, because it's this question that I've seen come up a number of times. There was a person who joined our group recently who said that she sort of thought she was kind of out like forthright. She says that she kind of got the impression that it was a waste of time, and she wanted to know, like, what is the proof that this stuff works, and there is some skepticism around vision therapy. So, but my own feelings about it is that it definitely is. It definitely works, vision therapy. There's no question about it, because there are so many people who've been helped, like Susan Berry. I know that I know Heather. She's been helped. She's somebody who gained stereopsis. She had strabismus, but she fixed it with vision therapy. And there's been countless others who have been fixed. Frederick Brock, he's probably one of the first ones who did it. He's a famous optometrist, I think, or I don't know whether it was an ophthalmologist or an optometrist, but he fixed it. He fixed his own vision, and so the question that whether it works, it doesn't. That doesn't seem to be in question. It does work. The question, I think, that is more important is how uniformly vision therapy works, and how well across individuals, how many people are going to respond well to it. So that's really the question, because it definitely works. So I can understand sort of both sides, because there's one side of people who are, it always seems that there's always one side and then there's another side to everything. There's the people who are super pro this, and then there's the other side, which is, not pro, they're anti whatever. But I can kind of, that's just kind of our natural way to be. But I kind of understand both sides, because it's not like surgery. It's not like vision therapy is not straightforward. It's not like surgery where you just scoop out whatever the thing is and then it's done. There's a protocol, a straightforward protocol, and then bam, it's done and that's it. Vision therapy, it's much more complicated. It's not as straightforward. Maybe someday it will be straightforward, but it has to be individualistic, or it has to be individualized, because everybody's different. It's very heavy into the brain. It gets into the brain, and everybody's brains work differently, and we know that. So it's not straightforward. But for people to say that vision therapy doesn't work is just completely wrong. Especially if you're an eye professional and you're saying that it doesn't work. That doesn't seem to be excusable. Because it plainly does work. It's just a matter of how well it works and how uniformly across individuals it works. So, yeah, and I guess the thing to say about that is that for some people are going to respond to it really well. Like some people are always on the verge of, like, in her book Fixing My Gaze, Susan Berry, she talks about how certain people, they will flash between stereopsis, like they will have flashes of stereopsis, and then they'll just go back to their normal vision, and they can just randomly have flashes, and just randomly throughout their lives. And and then sometimes people will just spontaneously, with no provocation, they'll just see in stereo, and then they'll have it just for the rest of their lives. And then there are other people who will gain stereopsis. I've been hearing about this a lot lately in the news, and there's like a 60-year-old professor who went and saw a stereoscopic movie, a 3D movie, and then he had strabismus, but then he came out and he had stereoscopic vision, and he had it permanently. So there are certain people who are always on the edge, and it just takes like a small push for them to fix their vision. And then there are other people who are going to have a much harder time with it. They actually have very heavy suppression, and the more adaptation that they have, the more that their brains adapt, and the more that their systems adapt to having just access to one eye, the harder it's going to be. The more they have to overcome those adaptations and unlearn those adaptations, if you will. And like I'm a good example of that. I'm like at number 3. I'm on my 3rd year of vision therapy, so it's very, very difficult. And everything that I do, every obstacle is like extremely deliberate. It's a huge pain in the ass. And then there are other people who are just never going to get it. people who have eye diseases. I think like as long as your eyes are healthy and as long as you don't have huge issues with your eyes, I think you're probably a good candidate. If you do the right things, if you do the right exercises, you have a good chance of gaining stereopsis. But if you have eye diseases, and obviously if you have a missing eye, you're never going to gain stereopsis. So there's a whole spectrum of that, and so that kind of adds to this, I don't know, this not clearness, I guess. There's a word for that, but it's not really clear. It's not straightforward, is what I'm trying to say, and that just adds to a lot of this just muddiness that you see in vision therapy, and it's really, really hard. For me, it's a pain in the ass. What else? And I think that's probably one of the things, like Susan Barry's book, that was a huge inspiration to a lot of us, Fixing My Gaze. But I don't think it maybe talks enough about how difficult it is. I mean, in her case, she's sort of an exceptional case because she's a neuroscientist and she's an academic, and so she has access to all these different things. Her husband is a astronaut, and so she's an exceptional individual. Really, and most likely her vision therapist. Well, it was I think it's like a world-renowned vision therapist, optometrist, and so yeah, she gained stereopsis in 1 year. So, and so that just got me really pumped up, and I just went out. I was like, I'm gonna get this done, but but there were obstacles that I did not expect. I figured because both of my eyes were, I was on paper, it looked like I was the exact same person as her. 3 childhood surgeries. My eyes, the acuity, each of my eyes was perfectly fine and perfectly healthy. But yeah, I'm still in my 3rd year, and it's been much more challenging than I anticipated that it would be. And I did what she asked me to do, or not what she asked me to do, but like she said, get a COVD vision therapist. I did that, but it wasn't very helpful. If your vision therapist is part of the COVD, that doesn't mean that they know what they're doing at all. It's probably a good start to find somebody from the College of Vision Development, but you want to do your research. They have to be more than that. So, I mean, I'm going to make another video about vision therapists, but yeah, it's much more challenging than, I think that she should maybe have explained that a little bit more, but anyway. So yeah, that's roughly what I wanted to say. This is a terrible video, by the way. So, alright.